in this life just seem so tough. Make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark the talk and you will see conflict solved from A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk. Welcome to a very special Make We Talk here on the Make We Talk Hospitalize YouTube channel. I was going to say Roots FM. This evening we're going to speak about our former Prime Minister, the first female Prime Minister that Jamaica has ever had, Portia Simpson Miller. She was hospitalized, I think it was yesterday or early this morning. And the news has reached us, and I think a lot of Jamaicans are praying for her speedy recovery. I decided to have this program this evening, not because I have any information on our former Prime Minister, but because I met her a long time ago, and I find her to be a very gentle human being, a woman who loves poor people. And I will say this evening, that when the bus and taxi operators have their problem, if it was Portia Simpson Miller was Prime Minister of this country, she would have had dialogue with the bus and taxi operators. She wouldn't be so arrogant. We have an arrogant administration who believe that they are a dictator. This evening I have with me Luke George, Justice of the Peace, Wayne Vassiani. Wayne, you're a counselor for what area again?
No, I'm not a counselor.
Not a counselor again?
No, was never.
Was never? Why do I believe you're a counselor? Anyway.
I have I have served the party in many fields, but I did not feel at all.
Okay.
I'm currently a vice chairman of Region 6.
Okay, yes. Vice chairman of Region 6 of the People's National Party.
Right.
When you heard about our Prime Minister being hospitalized, she has been sick for a while. She came out of public office and she has not been in the public space per se. When you heard about her being rushed to the hospital, what came to your mind?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is that I said, my God, I hope she will not die, because it would have been a very hard one on the country, and more so those of us who love her within the People's National Party.
So, Luke George?
Yes, Jeffrey.
When you heard about Prime Minister Simpson Miller being hospitalized, what came to your mind?
Unlike Wayne, I think that we need to prepare ourselves for what is probably inevitable. I don't know her very well. I've spoken to her probably 5 times in my entire life. Well, she has not been around that long, but before she became Prime Minister, I sat on the board of the National Council for Senior Citizens, and she was then the Minister of Labour and Social Security. And so it was through her ministry that the board appointment was made. And so at different national functions during Senior Citizen Month, we would see each other and we had brief conversation. I was a little bit surprised after her departure from public life when basically she just came off the scene. Nothing was said until news started to surface that she was critically ill and had to be um, had to be confined to her home pretty much. And then several persons have said who probably have seen her, you'd hear through the grapevine, boy, she has lost weight. Um, she's not the woman that she used to be, and the illness seems to be taking its toll on her. Well, I won't say one of the two illnesses that I've heard because that's hearsay. I really don't like it. But I think as a country, we might have to prepare ourselves for what inevitably will happen, and the size of the loss that is going to be felt by Jamaican right across the political landscape. Because apart from Manley and to some extent PJ and Eddie, Portia had the appeal right across the political landscape where labor rights like a PMP love her still, and speak highly of her leadership. My thoughts and prayers are with her. I'm also aware that as we speak of Portia, tonight, her husband is also ill, I think. So, you know, we have to think about Portia and Errol at this time. And the fact that, you know, as I said to you earlier on, we're promised 3 scores and 10. If it is God's will, then, and he desires to take her, then that is God's desire. But if she should live, then I'm wondering what is going to be the quality of life if this is a illness that we basically know that, and I'm assuming if it's one of the two that I've heard, that it can be painful closer to that end part, and can be brutal on the body. I would never want any of my loved ones to suffer. So my prayers to God is that if it is his will that she's going to have to suffer during this process, he is the best person. I just pray that as we gather to pray for her and her husband, we also pray that she would have made her call in an election sure, that if she was to ever be absent from the body, she would be present with Christ, and that she has that assurance and that place. But heartfelt sympathy,
yes,
and empathy goes out to the Simpson Miller clan. And if it is God's will, speedy recovery. Speedy
yes,
recovery, Sister P. So that's where I am. I am prepared for one of the two. Is either
yes,
speedy recovery or you make your transition. But the country would have lost a huge national icon if she was to pass. And while she was not treated very well by our own PMP,
No, I don't touch. No.
while she was not.
You're saying something, Wayne?
No, I was just wondering why the opening remark is so long.
No, it's not. It's not really long, I think George has given us a, Go ahead. So George?
Yeah. While she was not treated very well by her PMP family, they should use this opportunity to unite around the Simpson Miller legacy, which is less of the individual wanting to secure power for whatever reason, but more about the people and the country. I think that this is a good time for them to use that example of leadership that she displayed, that it was not about lining her pockets necessarily,
Yes.
but it was more about trying to create a livable condition for the poor. I don't necessarily agree with her statement that she come from the boil of the poor all the time, but she really had a heart that when you saw her in public, you know, you can always rely on one of them big hug and a kiss.
Right.
That is her hallmark, man.
Right.
Big hug and them kiss.
Thank you. I have with me this evening also senior journalist from Rose 96.1 FM, who has the privilege of covering Miss Portia Simpson Miller. Dudley Thompson, good evening to you, Dudley. Dudley? Dudley? Oh, Lord. When Miss Simpson Miller has served this nation well, what comes out at you now that you wish your Mama P was here? Dudley, are you there? I'm not hearing Dudley at all. Go ahead, Wayne.
Having met her back in 1986 for the first time and watched her until the day she departed from the political scene, and bumped into her shortly thereafter. And now that she's no longer involved and is able to do what she does best. She has been a lady full of charm, and as Luke had said earlier, one that had the poor at heart and would have done everything she possibly could to ensure that none remains at the bottom of the barrel. I have worked with her, yes, when she was Prime Minister and party leader. And I had an encounter with her in 2020, I think it was 9-10, somewhere there, during the by-election at Cornwall Mountain. That's when our friendship really developed. Because prior to that, I always supported those who challenge her or those who challenge to become leader of the party. But yes, I think it was 2009, yes. But having had a face-to-face with her and realized the kind of person she is, genuine, loving, and caring, which I've always known she's like that, but to get the personal experience, then you can speak. And yes, we have developed a friendship from that by-election until the last time when I spoke to her, if my memory serves me right, was sometime in August. We spoke for about maybe a minute thereabout. And
you mean August of last year or this year? Of last year?
Of last year, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I called the house and I was able to talk to her because she was up and about. And like I said, the convo didn't last longer than about a minute.
Okay.
Yes, but she has been someone who we have been close since 2009. Prior to that, I have watched her work within the party and other party, and I've realized that she's a very genuine, wonderful, beautiful soul. And someone who displayed a sense of humility. And I can remember her telling MPs that the people are not their servants, but they are the servants of the people. And if
Indeed.
they follow the way she performed, they will always be in office. She was that kind,
Go ahead, finish it. Go ahead.
she was that kind of person who didn't see anyone too high or too low. And I remember when she came in 2012 to open the sewage plant at the Golf Club in Negril, and we went to meet her at the airport because that was her first time coming to Westmoreland for a while. And the then superintendent of police told me to get away the people in Orange because he doesn't want them to block the prime minister when she comes. And I said to that retired senior superintendent that Portia is prime minister of Jamaica, but she's first and foremost the president of the People's National Party. And all these Orange Clan people are all hers. And I went to answer to the police superintendent that I can guarantee you, the minute she steps off the helicopter, she's going to come and hug every comrade.
She can get to hug.
Yes. And then she can touch me last, and then we move on.
Yes.
And when she landed and came off, she did just as I told the superintendent. So she is someone that never forgets her roots. And she loved poor people, and she loved children, and she loved the elderly.
Right. I have the pleasure of meeting the goodly lady when the late Elita Thompson, wife of the late Custis of Westmoreland, helped to raise me and send me to school.
Yes.
I met her.
Anglican Church.
Right, in Grange Hill.
Yes. Yes.
That's how I get to meet her. She came over and she greeted every member of the family, and for some reason she really stand up and speak to me, and I was trying to figure out why is the opposition leader at that time, she was opposition leader.
Yes.
Why is she talking to me of all person? Yes. And her word to me was this, that no matter what we're going through, God have the final say.
Yes.
And I will never forget those words.
Yes.
And then you see a group of women from the People's National Party in Westmoreland came and swarmed her, Mama P, and ironically enough, that there was a little girl in the midst of everything, and she lifted the little girl up.
Yes.
And I think that is what Jamaica is missing now when it comes on to politics in this country. The love and the warmth. You look, George?
Yeah, Jeffrey, while you were both talking, I look, she became an MP sometime around 1976. Wayne can confirm.
Yes,
that confirm that's 47 years in, and in that time she served in various capacity. And one of the things that is hypocritical about this country was the fact that Portia was not the most eloquent of speaker when it comes to it. And I think we're so obsessed with this eloquence of speech that has gotten us nowhere. Really and truly, where has it gotten us? All these people. And when you look, I remember a fairly younger man when she ran for president, and I heard the rhetoric of people like KD Knight that turned me up, because once upon a time, KD Knight was one of the voices that I would listen to. Then Peter Phillips, Wickham McNeil, that was a big turn off, that she's not of the ilk of the well-spoken Jamaican to be the president of the People's National Party, forgetting that political parties were started with ordinary Jamaican who could not put two words together, but they had an understanding and an appreciation for governance that was astounding, and that Portia has not lost that root. And if you talk about in the political sphere. Buster was not eloquent in speech either, from everything that I have read and I've seen. He was not eloquent of speech. In fact, he spelled some words that were, we don't know where those spellings came from. But one of the things that you have to take when you add a Buster and a Portia was the people's connection. Just that there was a groundswell of love and appreciation for Buster and Portia that only Joshua probably can rival them, right? And to the lesser extent, Mr. Siaga. All of them people that could arrive with Buster and Portia, they were the people's prime minister. People just saw them as people who they could relate to. They were relatable. And it is so far removed from the level of arrogance that you see now on the PNP and the JLP side. You know, I am not going to ever sugarcoat it and say the PNP, them lose them way. Them lose them Joshua way. Them lose them Portia Lucretia Miller way. And part of that arrogance came under the PJ Patterson administration that set a bad tone for where you see now. It's almost like good leadership is no longer when you can feel the pulse and the pain of the people and you can speak to it. And I mean, you will never get another Portia Simpson Miller, just like how you'll never get another Roger Clark, who will forget those famous lines, don't draw my tongue. You know, that was just typical Sister P, make it, you know.
Are those famous lines, hello, 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 having one phone answering the other phone, you know?
Yeah, those are just classic Portia Simpson Miller style of just saying, look here, me not forget where I come from, you know, so if you think that we can't talk the people's language, you know, so in other words, instead of me saying, you do not let me have to respond to you at my level, I draw my tongue, it cuts to the chase, you know exactly what you mean. I'm not going to cast with you over what I believe in and what I fundamentally believe in, is that we must make the condition of the ordinary Jamaican more livable. Our policies must be geared to sort of give more footing to the ordinary suffering people. And like N.W. Manley, she was basically saying, the rich has a responsibility to pull up the poor. And therefore, Minaga won't go in a bed with you. Portia probably will die if when that time comes. As one of Jamaica's poorest prime minister, the personal gain to her fortune has not been as significant as other people, and nobody will ever be richer than Andrew Holness if at the rate this thing is going. You know, a man who can declare, a man who sets the rules and wants us to move from a constitution that was given and derived from our British former slave master. And he wants a state of republic where the executive would have so much more power, and therefore him probably can write it in this new constitution with the committee that he has set up, that he doesn't have to answer to the Jamaican people. What is it about your tax returns that the Jamaican people can't see? That was not the Portia Lucretia Miller. And you must remember that there was an incident sometime in one of those elections where Mr. Seaga turned up at a school and the people had quarreled.
I know Wayne remember that one, that's why he's laughing.
And it was the Portia Lucretia Miller who went and rescued Mr. Siaga.
Yes, that's true.
Right,
that's true.
rescued Mr. Siaga in her bravery. So, you know, and that is when you hear people started to talk about those days when she was probably a gunslinger. I don't know, I wasn't born, but, you know, when she fought back with the JLP, them said Portia was no soft soap. You could bowl her over easy. She will bust it if it comes to that. And unfortunately, we're talking about somebody who has given to a country 47 and more years. And I didn't think that how she left her, she was treated by her own and this country, especially among the elite class. It was fair. But if it is true that the voice of the people is the voice of God, certainly she was the voice for the people, and therefore she must have echoed something into eternity that God will bless her for if and when. And you see, I'm not saying speedy recovery, because again, Wayne can confirm it. I'm not sure what the illness is, but
No, I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody
Right.
know what the illness is, because at
Right.
one point when they had the traffic Euro saga, a seal envelope was given to the judge, and the judge, when the judge opened it, she has to seal it back and say this cannot be given to the public.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Jamaican people never know what sickness Mama P has, and if she died tomorrow morning, God forbid, nobody ever know what happened to her. More than she has served this nation well. She has served her poor people well. And I think we have a Portia Simpson Miller as a Michael Manley, because Michael was the person who will go down to Negril. If Wayne can remember, go down to Negril and sit down on the beach in Negril and eat roast breadfruit and chicken back.
Yes. But Jeffrey, I remember when she just became Prime Minister, and JPEX was in the grill. And the opening night, I think, I'm not sure if it was at Chance's Beach, yes. And when she got out of Sam James' vehicle that transported her to the location, a group of us was standing to the side waiting on her to come.
Wayne? I think we have lost Wayne. Luke, you're still there with us?
Yeah, I think
Dudley,
so.
And there was some high profile the van, is it?
Yes, go ahead.
When she got out of the vehicle, with all those top persons who were standing beside me, she came straight across to me and hugged me and said, "My son, good to see you."
Yes.
Yes.
That's how Portia is.
Yes, man, that's how she.
Nice one, nice shit.
Not go to any of those big boys, you know. I remember someone there said, "Boy, are you sure from the PNP, you know?" So she come to you first.
You know something, Luke and Wayne. I think, I don't want to repeat myself, but I think Portia
she like to know where she is, and she sees her people.
Yes. And I think Portia Simpson Miller will go down in the history of this country as one of the greatest prime ministers of all time. What do you think, Wayne? Now I'm Luke.
The challenge with that is that, again, I think the PMP have not really sort of packaged the Portia Simpson's achievement as well as they ought to. And that is because she was really sandwiched by people who themselves did not appreciate her rising to that seat of power, forgetting that the history of the PMP has always been the poor people see the PMP as the party that they can relate to. It's a party that has the heart, and that is why from the time of my childhood to growing up, I hear that this is a PMP country. People have always said that this is a PMP country. And one of the things that we fail to do is to show the legacy and achievement of Prime Minister. Part of the major legislation in terms of all of the things that the Jamaica Labour Party is now enjoying about the Chinese deal, and when nobody else wants to talk with the Chinese because it would have gone against our relationship with the Americans. And so President Obama came to Jamaica to remind us that our best ally is still America, while Portia went to China and negotiated both the loans and the grants that were given for all these road expansion works that are going on, that other people now can sit down.
And Luke, don't forget the children's hospital in Montego Bay Canal Regional.
Right.
Don't forget that.
that's what I'm saying. When you talk about the Portia Simpson legacy, and I hate to have this program while she's still alive. Well, I'm happy that I'm talking about her legacy while she's still alive, but I hate the fact that she's ill, because I don't want anybody to misread it that next thing you're gonna hear them put RIP because we are taught this way. So let me make sure that I keep it in the correct tense. That is primarily hers going to the Chinese with that same big hug and kiss, and then you hear the Chinaman get an extra couple millions because of the person and how personable she was. Then she recognized that for a very long time, there was only one national hospital for children. And then she says, no, we have to give to the second city a hospital of that nature. A lot of time when you hear people talk about Portia, they don't talk about the achievement. The whole idea of getting more women in politics is a Portia Simpson-led charge. Promoting ordinary people to office of prominence who deservedly so. And one of the things is that she really had a knock for people who share that compassion of care for people. As against when you're looking at some of these younger people now where come into politics, and you know from the day they arrive, the ulterior motive is to ensure that they too get as much as they can get. And so, and that and much more. When she was Minister of Labour, one of the things she was the one who was championing a part of the policy that must now embrace people with disability, and she recognized the importance of the mental health work that started under her. She connected with the people that we sometimes discard because them not look like we, and them have to go around at the back, and you know, and when somebody dead and you find them go around at the back, you hear say Charlie did round there, and him did round there from Wapia King Philip. She gave those people importance. She understood the importance of that. And so even the creation of the Bureau of Women's Affairs, headed up by the late Dr. Glenda Sims, was a Portia Simpson Miller creation, recognizing that women played a more vital part than how throughout the years the role of the women were defined, and that women had a critical voice, and it created way for people like Lisa Hannan and Senator Johnson and all those people on the political divide. But it also helped the ordinary girl from Woodall or Arnett-Gun to believe that, you know, it's not where you start in life, but it's how you choose to run this race. And you could run this race and become a future leader of this country. And I think that was, in a sense, why people were excited about Lisa Hanna running for president and possibly seeing another woman, coming to the forefront of leadership and holding the highest office in the land. And then a slew of negativity started to take place. But you have to credit the former PM. I will tell you, she will probably go down in history as one of Jamaica's best prime minister among the 75% of not so elite community, because no matter what, everybody could relate to Sister P, and Sister P related even to people who
but not only that, Wayne and Luke, when Jamaica find itself in a financial bind, she was the person who called Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Yes.
She flew to Washington and sit and spoke to Maxine. Well, Congresswoman Waters, I should say. I shouldn't refer to the lady as Maxine. Congresswoman Waters. And
it's not your girlfriend.
Right. and she spoke to the Congress. She spoke to the Congress lady, and the team up together. And whenever people was belittling Jamaica,
Yeah, and I remember
Peter Phillips.
I remember quite vividly when Bruce Golding made a statement that he's convinced that nothing will come out of that because it is about the Christmas period. And no amount of talk will not help us to get anything. And to his surprise, Portia Simpson Miller and Peter Phillips were able to cut the deal.
Of course. Dudley Thompson, if you're hearing us, unmute your mic and come on in. No? Are you hearing us, Dudley? I'm not hearing you none at all, Dudley. You need to leave the system and come back on, Dudley Thompson. We're speaking about Portia Simpson Miller, the girl from Woodall, the lady who led this country out of the financial bind. And the present government can have this luxury of $1 trillion budget because of a Portia Simpson Miller.
Jeffrey.
Yes, man.
Just earlier this week, I was watching a thing on where Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Christopher and others, they were at Cornwall Regional, and they were boasting about this new hospital, the Children's Hospital. And what bothers me is that none of them made the point that all this came into being because of Portia Simpson Miller. So they are taking credit as if the Children's Hospital is something that they went and lobbied for, got the money for, and put the program in the plan in place and for its implementation. And because during the time 2012 to 16, I sat on the Western Regional Health Authority Board.
Yes.
And I was privileged to sit into all the meetings with the Chinese delegation. I think we met about 6 times during a month.
Yes.
To share ideas about the building of that hospital. And to say someone who has not lit a straw to make the hospital becomes a reality. Taking all the praises for it now, it's very damning and it's very disheartened because.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, go
yes.
ahead.
No, but you know something, Wayne. I mean, it is not good for him to be touring and not saying X, Q, Y, Z. So let us wait until the opening. If they will have the heart to say that this came into being all because of former PM Portia Simpson Miller. Luke George?
Okay. As I said, I am not politically motivated. I'm a Jamaican, and so I've never really belonged to one of the 2 tribes. I don't have any membership in any of them. I supported Antoinette Horton on her aspiration to want to create a 3rd party, but I've listened to the PMP and I've listened to the JLP. I've looked at manifestos and I have agreed with certain policy on both sides of the fence. When they were doing the refurbishing of the 3 Mile area, there was talk of removing her name.
Yes.
From 3 Mile, where everybody came to know that as the Portia Simpson Square. Mm-hmm. And you look at Highway, the building of Highway 2000, and Mr. Siaga it's the Siaga, Edward Siaga. I don't even know why people would have put up Mr. Siaga name on there, but it's the Edward Seaga highway. A leg of it is Mr. Seaga. So in this political climate, I don't see Andrew Holness or Christopher Tufton having the fortitude of testicular to credit anybody. It's the same Andrew Holness who came in and started to discredit the Michael Manley leadership on the socialism. And yet it is the methodology that he used to now make himself this beacon of hope for Jamaica as Prime Minister. And it is sad to say that he thinks everybody in Jamaica has bought into this image of bro God. When it is now very frightening that he's going to destroy the legacy of a Portia Simpson Miller, a Michael Manley, and even Edward Philip George Seaga. If he rushed through this whole thing of republic status, where the executive have more power than the people, it's against Seaga, Manley, Portia wanted to empower the people. When you look at Mr. Seaga, and let's talk about it, because people are going to come up and say, oh, in probably a PMP under the choir. I have no political alliance. But Mr. Seaga, look who was at Mr. Seaga's funeral. For the first time when Mr. Seaga was being buried, the Revival Church got a place. And whether you want to talk about revival being this or that, he believed in the culture and the African retention of Jamaica, and I'm not going to take that from him. He is probably one of the only prime ministers that went as far. Portia being probably the second who will hold that position, who understand what ordinary people go through. And it will be etched in my mind from now until eternity when Mr. Seaga and him two bodyguards say, when him pop off and go down and say they're going to protect Tivoli from the onslaught of the security force, that he would have sacrificed his own life for the people that he loved. Whether he loved them genuinely or not, that is not for me to say. But giving credit in this country under this present Jamaica Labour Party, not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's them creating and taking everything for themselves. So the forerunners don't get as much as the present crop of people. So I don't see Andrew Holness coming in and throwing dirt and it's the first I've ever seen it. No matter what happened in the People's National Party, they will say some of the most horrible things to each other. But when you look at Carl Samuda being the best friend of the Ole Raja Clark, who is almost like the next Portia Simpson Miller, the man of the people, the man, not care what you think about Raja. I mean, I was just stunned when Raja came up with a joke that him car broke down, and when Stern pick him up, him ride into the center of town and said to everybody, when you see my new campaign manager is Mr. Stern. And that was the same thing with Portia. Portia can use every moment and turn it into a joke and you saw that sort of genuine love, between she and Mr. Seaga. It's amazing that when you see and how Mr. Seaga spoke of her, there was just something about that lady that was telling that he would not have allowed anybody around him to speak of her badly. In fact, when her own people were criticizing her, he said, I believe that she was right for the country to lead the country, because if nothing else, she has the people's agenda at heart, and that he believed in her. He was one of her biggest supporters at the time of her leadership. Her aspiration. And for you to have somebody like the late Edward Philip George Seaga speak of you so glowingly, you are anointed and appointed, that you really must have possessed some unique quality Because one of the things that you can take from him, he would take the most unique of quality. He took Olive Lewin and put her down in Tivoli to teach children to play violin in a community and you don't have that anymore. You don't have them sort of leaders that spend the time getting to know the people. And that's why I was impressed when I heard about Miss Dalrymple. You know, when them say she got everybody nine night, them got everybody Christian, because it's almost again a replica of a Portia. Edward George Fair, George Sear.
Hold on there. Repeat what you said a while ago, George, that every 9 night did the Speaker of the House gone?
Yeah, man. Them say she go every Christmas.
You sure it's Dalrymple? I'm not
Babsy?
No, man.
No, man.
That died, man.
You mean Shiny?
No, man.
Yes,
before we hear the Shiny do it too. Dalrymple them say got everybody call her auntie. Yeah, but everybody call her. So what I'm saying is that there is nobody, Jeffrey, on both sides of the fence that can step in a Portia Simpson shoes. Sad to say, that's not the caliber of people that you see in the parliament. The closest they would have probably come to it is the Rastaman, but for some reason Rastaman I get a beating, so you need to take a wash off and come again. You know.
But you know something, Wayne and George. When you sit down and look what is going on in this country, with the style of politics, wherein Angela Brown Burke has to get up in Parliament and literally tell either Everall Warmington or Desmond McKenzie to shut up. And a speaker who, it seems that one side of her is deaf. She don't hear what is going on in the Parliament. You ask yourself the question, is this country have leaders of a Michael Manley, a Portia Simpson, Miller, a Roger Clark, a Jim Thompson, a Lita Thompson, you know, and all those veterans who was for the people? You ask yourself the question nowadays, is these new politicians for the people of Jamaica or for what they can get out of the people of Jamaica? Wayne?
Yeah, and it's very sad because I'm going to say something now, Jeffrey. Today I saw, it's Easter time now, and today I saw somebody post a bun from a GLP thing. Every Easter they would supply these buns to constituents, and they have their picture on it, and it's GLP.
And PNP do it to Wayne. Wayne, it's easy to know one way to talk. Go ahead.
I can see, I've never seen that in the People's National Party. And it's your photograph and your party. Does that really make sense? I mean, how low can we get? You're giving me something because you think I can't afford to buy one. And it must come with your name, your party on it. I mean,
I tell you something, you know. I tell you something, Wayne and George. I think Jamaica and Jamaicans, I think the youngest of the Jamaicans are reaching a point in this country. Because I was speaking to Gabriela Morris, Senator Gabriela Morris, who is, to me, I like a Portia Simpson Miller.
Yes.
The young Portia Simpson Miller.
She's coming to come.
You know, and I keep on saying, the People's National Party has lost their way with the people in a sense of they're not down to earth with the people in this country anymore. And if the People's National Party do not take a Gabriela Morris and go around this island, and yet the young people hear this young lady get on board, the time come for Jamaica, for the people to save the democracy of this country, because Jamaican democracy is at stake.
Fully agree with you.
I tell you, this is what the PFP has lost. Because even with the republic status, you know, one of the things I hear people say, oh, Mark Golding is too soft and he will never become prime minister. I don't know how you make such utterance, and
I
that
don't know.
you know, Mark Golding still have a little bit more to learn, and people like we need to have the leader of the PMP understand just how the people felt. The people felt betrayed by the PMP when they started to call Portia dunce, because the majority of the PMP supporters are within the margin of not fully being literate. And so
no, I want to disagree with you. You said the most. No, you're wrong about that. No. When you use the word most, that's an understatement. No.
So hold on. Hold on.
George, both political parties have those who are not academically qualified, those who are above them, and those who are fully qualified.
I know where you're going with this. So you know what, I'm going to concede here and take out the most. You have an illiteracy rate and them support both political party. Right. And yet the people felt, we don't know where you're going to suffer. Because me still going to say a PMP country. The majority of people have voted in the election at PMP. And the majority of poor people have voted in the election at PMP where the school system did fail. We don't say, somebody fight my brethren. So what me basically I say is that the people them did get hurt from that time. They hated how the party treats Sister P. And I think there was not a public apology. And I hear people say Mark Golding might never become prime minister because there are several things that sort of overshadow Golding. But people who know Mark Golding know that primarily he's a very mild-mannered man who has the greatest of respect for everybody. Some people don't like him because of the Peter Bunting factor. Some people believe Sam should have did go in there with Peter Bunting, with the Rise United and so forth. But those things, I believe that internally, if Portia was here with the party, it would have been settled already, because for her to have embraced people like Omar Davis and Peter Phillips, who resented her, the notion of resenting her because they didn't think she was qualified enough to lead this country, and to forgive. I mean, it's almost like a Nelson Mandela moment at the inauguration, looking at the clerk and extending the hand of friendship. But if the PMP want to become relevant to the people, you have to go back and start having those conversations. You have to promote better area leaders who are getting information and they are filtering it. You have to change the methodology of how you give out the scarce benefits and spoil. But every PMP...
But hold on there, George. Is it that in 21st century Jamaica, the political party must continue giving us scarce benefits and spoil to the people of this country?
One of the things that I know will be happening is that you will no longer give a man a fish, but you'll teach him how to fish.
Yeah.
So that individual or those individuals can become independent.
Yeah, but you see,
it cannot be that the whole focus will be on handout and spoils. Because if it is going to be on handout and spoils, then we are not intending on going further with this country.
Yeah, but those are things that are noble. We said them something, but based on where you just there a while ago, it's not this is the lowest we have descended. And it's not the first year that the Bonner give with people face on it and all the paper on the cheese wrapper have them
green. Green as ever.
And you're giving out a school bag and it must bear the name of the MP. I mean, it's the worst thing that can happen to a student in school when everybody have to know that liquor bag where them can't come to school, them mom and them people could even buy them a bag. So an MP have to give you one bag. How low can we go? So you say it is admirable that we talk about this in my brethren, because one of the things that you must understand, and at this PMP and JLP need to change if they're going to be relevant, because I believe Jamaica is like a volcano. It's going to erupt sometime soon. Yes, it is my hope that And this is why many things that you have the youngest guy as prime minister, and you'd think that with all of the things that had happened prior to him arriving at the gate beautiful, he would not want to create any more Lazarus that sits at Daife's table. But as you can see, it's a culture that continues because democracy ends the day after election. People are no longer relevant more than them do what they're supposed to do. We use them to get the vote. And what we're going to do is ensure that we give them a little bit and take plenty for ourselves. And that is the image in so many young people's head. That is why politics is becoming more and more unattractive. And when you realize that politics now is like a big tenement yard situation where a man can serve, and you just get up one day and tear him down. How could you even think of removing from 3 Miles the Portia Simpson Square? I mean, come on.
As you mentioned, young people, Jeffrey, I went up to a grave digging 2 weeks ago, but at the Negro Cemetery, about right down there.
Yes, you mean Orchard Cemetery?
Orchard Cemetery, yes. And Mr. Kelly himself was there.
Mr. Who?
Kali.
I haven't seen him in years. He's still in the police force?
He's not the PNP candidate for the Negril Division.
As what? For Western Westmoreland?
No, for Negril Division, for council.
I must get him on my program, man.
Yes, man. And I bumped into a group of young people. And the engagement to have, let me talk about a healthy discussion. And at one point I wanted to walk away because why? They were literally saying to me that they are going to support the People's National Party and they are not doing so because they want handouts. What they want is better for themselves and their children and better for Jamaica. Because if they are to depend on an MP or a councillor to give them some bushing and to clean a drain, that will not make them better. Because if you give them a drain for $20,000 or $40,000, once that drain is going to cut the check.
The 20,000 are done.
Done. And they don't want that. What they want is improvement. They want to see more opportunities. And they want to see proper representation to make their communities better.
But Wayne, as you touch on that, and you look George to Wayne on this one too. If it was a Portia Simpson Miller as Prime Minister for this great country of ours, this piece of rock, because I keep on saying to the people of this country, you know, we came here by labor pain, not by aeroplane or party pain. You see? And if it was a Portia Simpson Miller as Prime Minister and they have the Constitutional Committee, don't you think that Portia would get somebody from the diaspora? Somebody from the lower end of society?
Yes.
To sit on the board. More than the people of the Vumva Van, the Vumva V. And the lower class of Jamaicans don't have a say in it.
Nobody represents them.
They want to push through this constitutional reform. Like what they push through the needs.
But this is why Mark Golding was adamant that Marlene Malawi Ford need to come clean and tell him exactly what is going on before he agrees to anything like that. Because you can't make changes to a constitution that, as George said earlier, is going to give them all the power and we become the footstool.
And George, you're going to come in, but I have to say this. And the people of Jamaica must understand the meaning of republic and the meaning of constitutional reform. Hold on, Wayne. The Jamaican people must have a say in the formulating of a new constitution. The democracy of this country is at stake.
Yeah,
if you allow Andrew Michael Holness along with the Labour Party, hold on your Wayne, they will create a dictatorship in this country, not a democracy. Look, George.
No, but hold on. One second before Luke comes in. One thing that I am hoping for though is that before they go too far with this reform thing, that they need to face the people, explain to them what this is all about, and as you mentioned, get their ideas and have their input. before they push through any bill that will change our constitution and make this country become a republic.
Luke?
There are two quotations from Portia Simpson Miller that has that captures how she feels. There's one that says, if you empower people in their community and get them jobs, no one like Dudosco can win the heart and the mind and hold them hostage. And there is one that she has suffered in the Christian community when it came to the fact that she says, I am a Christian woman. I am a Christian woman, but I believe in human rights. I do not go into people's bedroom. I appoint people based on their capability, not on their sexual orientation. Those are some profound, and I could give you some more, because one of the things I listen to the consistency. No, a lot of things are overshadowing the Jamaican people to not realize that our current prime minister, and look, I wish Andrew Holness well when he came to power. I want to see a prime minister who enjoys the same status of a Usain Bolt, a Shirley Ann Fraser, a Veronica Brown, Elaine Thompson status, making their mark on the world.
All right, Jeffrey Tavares, go ahead, yes.
Nice one.
All right, Jeffrey Tavares. But what has happened is that Mr. Holness has demonstrated that entrenched politics is his way, it's my way or no way. And as I said before, I'm turned off by Miss Malibu, whoever, foot, her comments, her behavior, and the fact that I think she has a fundamental problem with the Charter of Rights that came about in 2011 that gives citizens a more a foot to hold their political and members of the three branch of government to accountability. And Rocky Mead has uttered it. He said that he didn't see the importance of the entrenchment. And you're absolutely right. A forward-thinking leader like a Portia Simpson Miller, who understand that the people have suffered by the very institutions that were created to protect their rights, their fundamental rights and freedom, and to have made their life better, did not do so. You have prime minister who leave who can buy a house in France, while a man still live in a shack. You understand? I'm in a care. And you have a prime minister now who is going to leave and probably can outbid 10 more guys for house in France. Because everywhere around this country you go, you see trucks that belongs to his wife's company. And when you look at that, you ask yourself the question, how come I send a guy to do a job on my behalf, but the guy benefit more than me who send him there to do that job? So the very construct of the committee, and this committee, Jeffrey Tavares, has been meeting for the last 25 years. And this brother here has dismantled it, because on that whole committee.
What committee? What committee?
The Constitution reform.
Okay, yes.
25 years, them are meet now, you know. And a man like Delroy Chuck, who was originally on it, a Trevor Monroe, you don't put in the brilliantness of a all-angle Dean Jackson Miller, where asking some of the most heart-wrenching questions and try to keep on in check. And you know come to the ordinary people them who you use as the engine to go win election, the outrunner, the in-runner, the man with the pan the corner, them people that are
and you don't go to the diaspora that you keep on milking for campaign funds.
But the sad part of it, you know, they like to be milked because enough of them still are talking about, oh, Andrew will win the next election. If you did a whole back full of money and I pump it into community and stop pump it into Andrew's campaign, because none of the money where Andrew gets, you know, we'll not ask him to give account for him, not at all, you know.
No.
Mr. Chang look down and tell you that the man them in the brown suit have 2 and 3 degrees, so them no need uno for help them for fight crime. We are good on our own, so uno just send the money and know that it is like a bitch where we use when we want to use it, right? We have no use on it. And that in and of itself tells you about how the JLP look at becoming transferable in the eyes of people, because Jamaicans, are you saying that Jamaicans abroad don't like this little rat like we were there? I like you, I tell. Them love it because Jeffrey Terrence to get up every day for come make we talk for the work that we can talk, the solution to making Jamaica a better country. That's a devotion that you have to reward, that there are people in the diaspora who desperately want to participate. When COVID come, it bring down nurse and our brother, and them are this and that in America, and them sure. But they are not as part of the Ministry of Health team. And so the Jamaican people are saying, how come Mr. Tufton gave $4 million to questionable woman that he's supposed to be having a relationship with to do PR work? What kind of work she do? Forget the money and
of course she do. What American she do? She do PR work.
She do PR work, man.
Yeah, PR work. Go ahead, Jeffrey, behave yourself.
Jeffrey, a lot of times, and this is one of the reasons why Jamaica is in a backward trend. A lot of times, a lot of people do anything. And if you try to get access to information, it is not access to information, it's access to bureaucracy, because you can't get it within the time that you want it. And by the time you get it, the horse done gone through the gate. You don't know what.
But not only that, Luke, George, and Wayne. The access to information is in the office of the Prime Minister. So he dictates to whosoever who don't get it.
Yes.
Do you know from when? Do you know from when Wilfred Radigan asked information on Camellia Johnson Smith about her candidacy to become Jeffrey Baber Secretary General for the Commonwealth?
Yes.
And about how much gift they get and whatever. And I think it was the day that Mr. Rattle didn't get it. From was about 2 to 3 months he asked for it. So that is to show you the dictatorship, the heavy arm that this man have in this country.
Is that the actual report or the doctored report?
Well, that's another thing again. That's another thing again.
The truth of the matter, you know, appear Alibaba and the party TV, like, you know. Nobody don't care about the people, you know. And the people would even looking at their own community and put a man up there. So we don't want you. Not come to we with that. You see that man that we're down, that's our name, Wayne, where we know him every day, where we can go burn down him look up catch house, and him we want for the our MP. Our Prime Minister must be somebody who understands us. And the closest thing you're going to get to that in this modern time with a Portia Simpson Miller. I'm glad she wasn't the brightest of the lot of them, because the brightest of them have taken us to some place where we could have said it's almost like an abyss. And then we were on the brink of going over. These are people like Portia Simpson Miller who went in and rescue us from falling down. And that is what I'm telling you. History will not, the history, if you follow them youth here, you understand, when you hear them talk about other people's achievement to this country, you have to talk about a Portia creating the way. And this is why people like Gabriella and unfortunately Camellia Johnson should have had more respect for the contribution of Miss Simpson Miller, and she took a deep battering even for those statements that made her uncomfortable among the church, when the whole thing about when Bruce Golding would have gone to the British press and said, not in my cabinet, when we know say people are fruitcake convictions were there. Some don't know what was that grandstanding about. And to some extent, Portia got a beating from the church because they said she embraced the flag, but yet still, I think she made a brilliant comeback. The flag that represent the LGBT community when she says that, look, I don't promote people based on them that. And look,
Yes.
I'm putting it to a conscience vote in the parliament. We must vote on our conscience. I'm not going to make a broad decision on my own unilaterally as the PM. And that is something that you're not seeing as important issue as constitution reform. You know, you're not seeing Andrew Michael Wholeness coming to the parliament and say, look here, the constitution reform of Jamaica is going to be significant to the progressive agenda that we need to craft. So look, I am broadening it. If nothing is going to be my legacy, I'm going to broaden it to include the voice of the ordinary people who are going to be the ones who must help to craft this because they have suffered under the current one. And I tell you the truth, Jeffrey, I rather delete the one that we have now than to start it. I don't think reforming constitution should be left to Parliament. I think it should be a separate committee that is set up for constitutional.
But if you look at it, that will never happen because throughout the committee chaired by so many blunder when she was Minister of Legal Affairs.
She's Minister of Legal Affairs. You mean when she was Attorney General? Attorney
General, sorry, right. She has made so many blunders. She has cost the country millions and millions and millions of dollars. And to create a new ministry, not call them Ministry of what? Legal what?
And Constitutional Affairs.
And Constitutional Reform. And to put her at the helm of such a committee, it means that, boy, if we don't open our eyes, dog, when they're more suppers.
And that is why I'm saying, to the young people of this country and to the elders of this nation, demand a constitution of the people, for the people, and by the people. Demand a constitution. You have a say in the constitution. The Prime Minister of this country need, Wayne, I got a message for you. I'll tell you off air. A friend of yours who lives in Miami, who used to be at the remember the Destin Negril? The TBT go Destin, the tourist desk that used to come there?
Yeah, I want to that now.
I'll tell you off air. She should tell her hello. Anyway.
So like, that's not Miss Bingham.
No, man, it's not Miss Bingham.
It's not
Miss Bingham at all. Anyway,
look here now.
Let her continue before I...
People are finding up on program. Where you are going to get a barrel from the...
Yes, I know
that. With all seriousness.
Where you have to wait for one of the bond that will have the people that fear.
No, I don't wait on that. No. I am so happy.
But Wayne and Luke, when you sit down and you look at what is going on about this constitution, I think a Portia Simpson would have get up in the parliament and said that we are putting a lady from Coronation Market on this constitutional reform board. You went as far and you're going to get somebody from Canada.
Can you imagine, man, why?
You're saying to me
Jamaica,
that nobody in this country has the cabezo to sit on that board who's a constitutional lawyer?
And with all of the wealth of knowledge within the Caribbean, you look outside of the Caribbean.
In Canada.
I don't have a problem if you want to bring in the Canadian, but you have law students up at Norman Manley. You have several law students here. You have a wealth of Caribbean expert in crafting a constitution, similar to all the craft. So similar to own craft the articles of memorandum and the constitution for the Court of Appeal in the Caribbean, right? And you have people, look here, look here. You're absolutely right, Jeffrey. The temperament of this guy, tells you, it's my way or no way at all. Because look,
I know we are
a Portia Simpson Miller, and she would have said more than Mark Golding. Even with my slim majority, this will not happen. I'm going to take it to the people. Mark Golding had the opportunity to champion this thing, and he has not done so. Well, put Gabriella and the PMPY out there. Let them talk and tell people what is to be gained and what is to be lost. And on the back of it is that you have now 124 beaches that Jamaicans will not have full access to unless we have dollars. And beaches are where we go every holiday. Yes, when we know we don't have no money, we're going to do free access.
And Jeffrey, it is against this, as you mentioned, beach George. Jeffrey, the Bluefields Beach, right?
Yes.
The Bluefields Beach. Had it not been for the strong voices of some local people in Westmoreland, headed by attorney at law, Casey Fred Hammerty, Bluefields Beach would have been locked away from the public because that man who owned that hotel, that white man down the road who owned a hotel, close to the property, wanted to take up the entire Bluefields Beach for himself, gate it, and people that have access to use Bluefields Beach as they were.
Wayne, do you remember I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago? You remember the red hats in Negril when they shot the pregnant woman on the beach?
Yes, I was downtown, somewhere there.
Where were they shoot her? I remember they blocked the road and put a school bus from Sandals on the bridge to burn it down. You don't remember?
Yes, I remember everything about that. And they set the fire at Shell gas station too.
Here you go. Yes. And one in the heart of Negril town, we just closed supermarket where we sent for Russell Hammonds. When Russell Hammonds came out there, when Corporal Colley came out there with the fire truck, they had to turn back. Because the people decided to say, hell no, this not happen. I tell you something, I went as far back to bring this to you, They are putting the Jamaican people against the wall. And when our back go against the wall, we start rebel. They take away, they give the Chinese 34 acres of prime beach land, all in the name of road. I am saying to them tonight, be ye careful what you're doing. If it was a Portia Simpson Miller, should think about the people. But these arrogancy of these people, the arrogancy of these people who are in parliament who believe that they can sell the Jamaican people for little or nothing, and that's what they're doing. They're selling out the beach land, the thief in beach land, the thief in poor people land. Hold on there, wait. The thief in poor people land in Trelawney to give to their friends and cronies. But the time gonna come in this country where Jamaica is gonna say to them, enough is enough.
Yes. But Jeffrey, if you should drive down to the community center in Negril, listen, that access to the beach on there.
Yes.
There's a chain is drawn there. So you can drive and park right back. And if you're gonna go to the beach, you have to walk a little narrow path is there, you go there and the chain link.
So hold on there. Didn't they say the entire beach along that is public beach?
Yes, but when you put that chain on the community center, when you go down to the community center, right? There's a chain there. So if you can no longer drive and park at the back. And if you're gonna go, you have to walk over the chain.
So who put the chain there?
I would not know.
Wayne, Wayne, I'm gonna say something to you now. You may be upset and vexed with me, but it's the truth.
No, not at all.
A young man came on this program from the People's National Party and he called a spade a spade. You know?
Exactly.
These things are happening because the McNeil families in Negril, in Western Westmoreland, haven't done a damn thing for the people of Western Westmoreland. And that's why these things are happening.
Jeffrey, I'm going to correct you with that. No, I don't agree with you when I say the McNeil family. No. You must be specific, man. I will agree with you 100%. If you tell me that Dr. Wickham McNeil did not do what he was supposed to do for Negril, I will agree with you 100%.
Well, Wickham then.
Yes, I will agree with you 100%. Because we should have the Norman Manley Beach Park should have been a state-of-the-art beach park as Harmony COVID is calling in Montego Bay, or Harmony something. That's what Norman Manley Beach Park should have looked like. And the ball was dropped. And I'm calling a spade. The ball was dropped because what they did there, I know it wouldn't have lasted. And a place like Norman Manley Beach Park, where it was established by his father, Dr. Ken McNeil. So I will agree with you. Wickham should have done much, much more where that park is concerned.
Lou?
When you see, this is the sad part of it, is that again, on both sides of the political divide, you need more Portia Simpson Miller in Parliament who understand the fundamental of just creating a better environment for the people of Jamaica. Cause you see, when you boast brand name like Wickham McNeil and people like that, you would have thought that the whole beach policy would have been reviewed under the PMP, and recognizing that beach is a place where all of us, but despite our political affiliation, and it is a place to escape to. If you live in Jamaica, you know, and you look at just living conditions, and you look at how sometimes you have to exist in very inhumane circumstances, and your choices are usually made by your circumstances. Some of the choices that you make are made by your circumstances. Then there are very few places that you can go. I know Wayne will agree with me. We usually turn to the beach, to the dance scene. You know, we'll go watch a play. We play domino and we drink a couple of rum. And then when you're taking away access from the people, it begs one to have to ask the question. So why did we elect you? I mean,
Right.
who made beaches that people should have private access to them, and then other people have to pay to go in there? Nowadays in Jamaica, when you have to decide against food and if you have to pay a utility bill, and sometimes you have to cut the food budget for pay the utility bill. Then, brother, you're not right. So if you're going to take that from people, that means that you're not there for the people. You're not government for the people. It's taxation without representation. And McNeil and all of those elite Jamaicans who serve in the parliament tend to be more on getting in with the in crowd than standing out. There's a guy in PMP that can be credited of having the same sort of vim, vitality, and vigor as a Portia Simpson Miller, who left the scene and nobody speaks about it. Claude Clark, who was a man who was very, he took some very radical stance on the side of the people, and was sidelined by the PMP. So much so that his brother was killed. Keith Clark.
Keith Clark, yes.
And nothing came out of it.
But listen to me. And that is why I said, listen, hold on, Wayne. That's why I said, listen. The ambassador of Plentiful, Rocky Mead, because ambassador of Valencia, put in the punch, I want to call it. I make us bad tonight.
I don't know his what.
But he's the ambassador of Plentiful. Need to tell the people of Jamaica who ordered 100 soldiers to go up to Keith Clark home and pump 21 bullets inside of him, assassinate a Jamaican and Jamaican style by the government of this country. Who is the one who ordered Keith Clark killing?
But I realize you're not mentioning that Keith Clark is the uncle of the finance minister. You're not mentioning that, man.
The question must be asked, and the time has come for Rocky Mead. If he's an honorable man, tell the people of Jamaica what went on, or step down. You should have never taken the leadership or the ambassadorship. And Jamaica is the only country appoint ambassador to themselves.
True.
Right. But the point is, Jeffrey, that you're echoing those sentiments. Rocky Mead is the only general who have ever left that have enjoyed sophisticated office, you know, because the other two radicalists, Macmillan and Hardley, never, they walked off. When they left the job, they were blessed with such prominent position. It seemed like Anderson and Mead have a close affiliation to the existing political party.
Or they have secret, or they have secret for the Prime Minister.
And that that in and of itself tells you that that is why they have enjoyed. Because I think that Rocky Mead is a national disgrace. Me, honestly, Lisa, that I heard people say that he was an honorable man. But why did you train so many young Jamaicans without any output for them? And now they are out there with pre-military style training. And if them can't find work, so if you started a program under your leadership and you were such a forward-thinking leader, once them go through the program, then you know so them now gonna make it into the general army. You know. It is up on you. And yet still you have people coming out and tell you that they were down there and money was being paid through an overseas source to recruit so much more. And the truth of the matter is that, as I said before on a show that you had before, if you write to Rocky when he was there, you're not going to get a response. You're not going to get a response. And now Jamaica have him, like how we take Auburn Hill, a glorified dictator. A glorified dictator.
The man who mash up sugar?
The man who mash up sugar. Him run out the lady up a company's office. The NCB staff members spoke poorly of him, that they, under his leadership, they were treated as common slave. And if you didn't do what he desired, he got a settlement from the bank of so many millions and how much in US. He got a big settlement from the sugar deal. Big
settlement.
The farmers got nothing and he got plenty. And he walks around here talking about that we must change our attitude if we want to become a first world country. As if we weren't a first world country. Auburn Hill. And you see, this is the new cluster, the nucleus of the leadership style that we're seeing, that they believe that there's something about their knowledge that can inform this country to become a first world country. We were refining oil before Britain. We had toilets and electricity before Britain. So when were we ever a third world country? Third world defined by GDP. But again, Portia tell you that the Jamaica is more than just a brand. The world recognized us well as a place of pride, and the people who live here, our educational institution, our sports achievements, science and technology is next to none. Is next to none. Everybody who walks in Jamaica will tell you that there is just something unique about this country. And if you look at the Martin Luther King writing, he tells you that when he was writing those first books and he came to Jamaica, there was just this spirit of freedom that was in the air that we're now watching it ebb away by the new set of people who are coming here. And literally people don't have any voice under their administration. When me hear people like young Nesta, Morgan speak, my God, where was he brought up? The table had no humility.
George, Nesta Morgan is the Minister of Misinformation, because he went on Roots FM, and I will never stop talking about this because it hurt me. He went on Roots FM and want to discredit the name of Ambassador Curtis Ward.
Yes, I remember. Yes. So
damn out of order.
He was no ambassador.
Right?
Rude and out of order.
And I tell you, to her credit, to Portia credit, people tell you on both sides of the political divide. She gave due to who you were and what you were, because she was one of the few prime ministers who did not get rid of people within ministry who had strong political alliance or connection. She never felt that she needed to do that. I think she believed that the civil service in and of itself is a unique place and people must be committed to job. That is probably what she believed. On the contrary, the civil service needs a major reform. The attitude of our civil servants beg a lot of tidying up. It requires a lot of janitorial services, right? But again, this level of arrogance versus the people leader, and it goes. I tell you what, Jeffrey, the scripture that is appropriate for it. I think the scripture that says, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people suffer. Have you ever seen suffering like you're seeing now?
Never. He said, he promised himself that wicked ruler.
No, but you see, they will come out and say that it's prosperity time, But
For
I
who?
want to ask
For
the
who?
question. For the people,
teachers have not been paid on
Hold
the
on,
7th of March. On the 7th of April, 2003, since the new salary scale, teachers have not been paid. And I just sat with a principal the other day who said to me, for what he is required to do and the compensation package, 1/3 of his staff have already tendered their letters of resignation. Prosperity for who?
For the people of the Vumba Bar and the Vumba V. The people who live below Crossroad. The prosperity is for Andrew, his wife, and all his families around them, and all the Vumba Bar and the Vumba V. Those are the ones in the prosperity in the country. And if Jamaicans don't wake up in this country, I am saying this and I keep on saying it. We came here by labor pain, not by aeroplane. And if we don't fight for this rock, God help this country.
But look, Jeffrey, in the Prime Minister budget speech, he said, Nigel, you love how the budget have developed. You like the progress that you see. But I keep on saying to you, do not be so enthusiastic about happiness, because the finance ministers within the homes are complaining that this prosperity has not yet flowed down to them, and they are struggling. So
As Jeffrey,
I want you to be mindful of the fact that they must struggle, and that is why we need a constitution committee that says we have fixed terms limit, and it separates local government. You can't play with an election like local government election.
But hold on. But if you realize that the Prime Minister campaign, that when he gets into power, that is sworn in 07, in 2016, sorry. That is said
in his first 100 days
in office, fixed election dates, term limits will be dealt with. In 2016, the Local Government Act spoke to the time limit for each term in office, and that should be adhered to. What we have come to realize is that it has been put off on what? 3 occasions now?
Yes.
On this last occasion, the flimsy excuse that the Minister of Local Government comes up with is nothing but a slap into the Jamaican people's face. Because so you can't find the money.
Our democracy is threatened.
You can't find the money to hold the election. But yet, in the height of COVID-19, amidst the thousands.
But you see, we're losing weight. But what I'm trying to say is this, you see, if we the people, whether we're in the diaspora or in Jamaica, if we the people do not stand up for this rock and demand a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Not a dictatorship under Andrew Holness and Nigel Clark. And if him as the Prime Minister tell the Minister of Finance that they need to look in and make money can trickle down to the poor class of Jamaicans. Come on.
They're fully aware
We'll
that
put you there.
They are fully aware that the prosperity. Look here. The mere fact that Nigel went and did an eloquent speech on not having to say that he should walk away from Mastermind. I think Angela Brownberg should have done the similar speech.
The same thing.
On the reason why she had to say, shut up. And again, I tell you the truth, the hypocrisy that lies in the powers of the executive, where Warmington calls Mr. Clarendon man, dirty boy, or he uses some other expletive to describe Lisa as Jezebel or harlot. And he gets away with it. And even say to the Prime Minister of the day, you didn't elect the people of South or Central Clarendon did. And so
St.
Catherine did. So you can't tell me what to say and do. It tells you that the Parliament, the executive branch has descended into becoming a hellhole by the representation. We are choosing some of the lowest people. I do not know that even if they have expertise to be in some of the ministry, that are they listen to the expertise of the people that are in the ministry. And it is against that backdrop, Jeffrey, that I keep on saying. The Jamaican people at home and abroad have to now form our own cabinet. We need to talk about health and to do the reform paper on health, what we know will work, whether we can transfer the fields out there in Trelawney into a multi-purpose complex, inviting basketball players, and that will help with the national education, for fun education. And it can fund health as well. They can rent out the facility. You must have some people looking at how to reform the economy, the Jamaican economy, to become a leading economy again, because it does have the potential. We have allowed so much of our intellectual property to be robbed by other countries. If we're not very careful, reggae will soon be the intellectual property of the Japanese and Chinese. And so the guys who we have elected to safeguard us have not done so. And it is sad that we're 65 years in terms of since we became independent. But within those years, we have acrimonial achievement, but the large achievement that we should have is that there should be no parish in which people still don't have running water. We should have looked at housing and education. We should have looked at health. Climate change, instead of going into the cockpit country, we should be using the cockpit country as one of those green space that we protect, like when you go to some of the wonders of the world and sell it off as a tourist destination where we can make money from it. So if you look at the direction, as again, we have water. We have water that other countries are craving for. When you talk about Pakistan, Egypt, Dubai, that you could be bottling. You have ganja that medicinally.
But before you touch on the ganja, Andrew, free up the weed, because I want to smoke in the night. Yeah, listen to me. I don't smoke. I'm just kidding.
Me, I wonder come here and you go to church Sunday.
I don't smoke. No joking. But no, on a very serious note, though, yeah. We have water in the length and breadth of Jamaica. We have spring all over the place. And you're saying to me, we are from 1962 have we became independent, and way before that, we have not created a proper water facility for the people of this country, wherein everybody must have water in the pipe. The breadbasket parish of St. Elizabeth, for years, every single year, it has drought. And you are saying to me that they haven't done anything, that the people of St. Elizabeth can have water for the crops and so forth?
Remember, man,
you should talk about you love poor people. The two political parties has created.
Jeffrey Tavares, you push need on us in the middle of the night. And is the need system, was that the best system for Jamaica? When you look at people, when you look at a country like Curacao, who when you're 13, you get a national identity card, and they have developed a system next to none. Why did we have to take ours from Israel that is oppressive to the Palestinian people, although and that history will be the history that we start with, and it will certainly play a role in the end. And how did you take the decision? How much of the Jamaican people understand the concept of need and where we were deriving the pattern of need from? And when you take all of this bio data from me, you have not guaranteed me that you can store it anywhere, because even today they broke in. I think today I heard that they broke in and they took another machine. You're not even have money in Jamaica still. And the Prime Minister who said, when I take office, you will be able to sleep with your windows and your door open. So
one man training dead like a dog.
The reality is that you talk things that sounds good at this out at the announcement of it, but when it in reality we know we're not there. But you're not talking about the local farmers and increasing their capability of bringing up their produce, not having to pay trillions of millions of dollars for water, then can't sell back the product cheap. So we don't want to buy our local product, because the truth of the matter is that what it cost the man to produce it in the first place. I was told by a gentleman who came here with an investor who had a machine that can it would decrease the amount of laborers that you use, but it would increase it. But then again, he said the challenge was how to get water onto the property. A couple months ago, a group of pepper farmers approached and asked me if I could get some help for them to get some attached thing that they would attach to a vehicle and take it to buy the water and bring it back so that they could water their farm. Or the young lady who called me up from Geisel, who is asking me if I can get 3 Rhino tank for her because of the water shortage. So if you look from 1962 to 2003, there are some fundamental issues. There are some communities that you can't access because the roads are in deplorable condition. There are people that are living below the poverty line. You have announced that there is going to be an increase in the weekly minimum wage, which means that some people have started to say that their employers are letting them go because they are not prepared to pay that, especially in the household workers. So again, it's almost like we send these brilliant, bright people to do a job on our behalf. And I'm surprised that they knock so hard in Parliament when they hear the utterances that are made. But the reality, if you look at the compliance again, Jeffrey, for the National Health Fund program, people are taking medication, they don't have food to eat. The cost of a tin of mackerel is more than what it costs for chicken back when once upon a time you could have get a dirty girl with your pound of rice. You could get a dirty girl and you flash it out and you cut up your tomato and your onion. You mix that up in the pot with your garlic, and that's a meal. That's a nutritious meal. So the reality,
those things, those things, some of the people of the Vumvavon who works in the Parliament don't eat tin mackerel at all, they give it to the dog.
No,
but when the time come, every 5 years, they go around and tell us a whole bunch of lies.
Exactly. A security guard for a prominent minister once told me that the first time he eat venison and deer meat was at the minister's home when he was having a dinner, and that was that was part of the delicacy that was served in addition to some other delicacies. So our politicians and our civil servant has really lived very comfortable while the people of Jamaica continue to live in shacks while they live in autocrat. And I'm surprised in 2023 that our people are in a Stockholm syndrome, that they still believe that politicians care. One guy won his consulship by just bringing water to a community. That was, he uniquely went to a river and he created a way of bringing river water to a community. And so the people thought that I think the guy was right in one of those rural parishes. So the fact of the matter is that there is a loss in servant leadership, and what you're seeing are more of pharaohs. We have more pharaohs that have taken seat in parliament, people who are in some deep, dark skullduggery. And the Jamaican people on both sides of the fence, as you rightfully said, labor pay, not airplane. And so if the country goes down, it is an indictment on all of us. We must stand up in black and keep out more black sirs there. And we must come up in drone and let the leader of the country know that we're not for the republic status if it is going to be done with the handful of people. And certainly I don't have no confidence in the minister or attorney general. I have no confidence that she has the maturity.
You mean the Minister of Constitutional Reform?
Yeah, constitution reform. Constitution reform is not something that you need to play with, because what you're going to do is to create another Vision 2030 document that the ordinary Jamaican never get. Because when you look at the committees that were set up for these things, you must disregard the little people. You must stop building this lie on talking about you care about the poor. If you did, you wouldn't have one microcare center. You wouldn't see the importance now of a Bustamante hospital where people can go there and still asleep on the mango tree on tough bench. If you really care about the poor, you wouldn't be giving them medication without having social workers assigned to them who would understand that if them not have food, they would bring the Ministry of Labor to ensure that you have full compliance with the medication. And why you're not pushing for your herbalists in your country to look at more way of helping your people to become more healthy. If you did, you would not be averse to having more, allowing the local government election to be independent centrally of the general and putting in the relevant financing in. If you actually believe in the people of Jamaica, you wouldn't get rid of the political ombudsman office so that nobody know that they are watching you, on a little theft-free, and Jamaicans allow you to abolish the office of the political ombudsman after Donna Brown.
You call the word so flount like theft-free thief.
No,
let me start with the post.
I look here, I want to sound elegant, articulate. Leave me alone. The fact of the matter, there's a lot that people now look upon in Jeffrey. The office of the political ombudsman, the Jamaica Labour Party have successfully closed that door. If you
the question must be asked, of the Prime Minister, why you choose to close it down? What are you hiding, Prime Minister?
Yes, this is what I'm saying. Why only watch the people them literally pull the veil of democracy from us? And we still believe that them guys are really going to render with the verdict that we want to see a better Jamaica for all Jamaica. Look, Michael Manley was successful with the first Labor Day activity. Every MP and councillor caretaker should go to their constituency and awaken the spirit of the Jamaican people, as well as the diaspora support to say, look here, if we move in the dead of night to a republic status without having a buy-in by the entire Jamaican population, that include the 2 million in America, the 2 million in Canada, the 2 million in England, and oftentimes, and again, like when you talk about diaspora, you don't realize that there is a growing budding diaspora community in Africa that really wants to look at how they can strengthen the ties between the trade between Jamaica and Africa. And that is why you saw the president of Rwanda coming here and saying that he's looking forward to working very closely with the Caribbean. If you don't recognize, Jeffrey, that it is essential that our rights are being stripped away under this JLP government, and that is when you know that the wicked are in leadership, because you would want to believe that any modern prime minister of Jamaica would want to strengthen the Charter of Fundamental Freedom and Rights for the citizen. And when you're taking it away, but the essence of the program tonight is that a Portia Simpson Miller leadership is now being eroded by arrogance and people who have ulterior motive that they are benefiting. Everybody who goes into parliament comes out better than they have ever gone in there. But the Jamaican people are still where we are 65 years later. We're still struggling to make two ends meet.
Are we 65 or 60? How old are we now?
So if you do 62 and you take it away from 23, me can tell you so we're about 65. I could be wrong because I'm not a mathematician. I'm not that bright for math. But whatever it is that we are, Tavares, we're not being served by the current crop of leaders. So and it escaped me that under all of this, you see a whole heap of robbery start that people are paying attention to. 1962, that makes us 61. 61, 1962.
We're 62 now. We'll be 62 this year.
Yeah, we'll be 62 this year. So if we are not very careful, a republic status will be imposed on us before we go into the next general election, and it will increase the power of the executive to exact on the people of Jamaica what they want. And if no, they're not listening to us, when they get to that republic status, who is going to hold them? If they get rid of the
is it that Jamaica going to become a El Salvador or a China or a Xi Jinping China? When you rise up, when you speak out against the government, they want to lock you up or say that you're enemy of the state?
But that is exactly where we're going to go, because this is not a decision by the people. It is a decision by a handful of people. Look, the construction of the committee is that you have Malibu. I said to you, this has been going on for 25 years. You have PJ, who was very articulate in this Emancipation Day just gone. You hear him and Bruce went on a program together as two prime ministers, talking about the importance of becoming a republic and what it would mean. Bruce, in his last election, brilliantly outlined some fabulous idea that would take the country further. Term limit for prime minister, term limit for MP, job description for MP, council caretaker, constitution reform, increasing the participation of the ordinary people in the everyday decision of how their life, strengthening the public accounts committee for more things to go before it. No abolition of the ombudsman office. In his first run as prime minister, Mr. Holness said, I would never even take the word honorable. I don't think I deserve it. I want my own mandate from the Jamaican people.
You mean Bruce said it, not Mr. Holness. Bruce said it.
No, Mr. Holness said it. I would not take the title honorable until I get my own mandate from the people. And that he ran a campaign that he's not a chicken back government. And so he brought a basket and showed people that when I get to power, you will not have to struggle when you go into the shops, the local shops and market to buy, that there is going to be such a plentiful for all, because I'm going to be the minister of plentiful. And in the COVID-19 situation, he was criticizing the corner shop for spreading COVID. Because the people, them have forgot there sometimes, them go there 3-4 times because them have forgot back and somebody have forgot borrow $100 from them. And the corner shop now became a problem. So it means that big business weren't spreading COVID when we had to line up outside big supermarket and we were ushered in 10 at a time. They weren't spreading COVID-19 when we were in that line. Many of us were coming from home. We would have been in touch with with other people who are coming from elsewhere inside of the home. So it is serious, Jeffrey, that Jamaica has seemingly gone slightly to a dictatorship. We have created more SSR Fura than leaders that believe and want to increase people. And we have talked about it successfully in both of the political party. And if you go back to the manifesto, the last 25 years of the manifesto, you, Jeffrey Tavares, tell me if they have achieved half of the things that they put in that paper. It's a piece of paper that they write, but they don't believe in it. They have abandoned it, just as though they have abandoned the Constitution, because the Constitution is not working. Yesterday on social media, we watched 2 police brutally beating a man. Whether that man is wrong or right, our police force should not be disrespecting a citizen. And the man wasn't using excess force against 2 officers. So it was 2 to 1.
Was it a female officer and a male officer?
A female and a male officer.
And she took out her gun and said, "Boy, excuse me, put the gun in her shield."
Yeah. You talk about it being bad now, having to see that, than when we become a republic and
all the powers lie with them,
and the powers exactly lies with them. And then I would not be able. In fact, the day if under Andrew Holness government, Mr. Biden, you forgot grant me citizenship. Me not Tanya. Me rather suffer under the hand of a white man under this. Because me know say plenty people will be lined up like a Green Bay massacre and kill in this country as part of the intimidation method.
And then Harris Shaw, when I said there was an angel at Green Bay.
Yeah, Horace Shan can talk. That is a minister whose credibility has been questioned of having gang affiliation, where there were videos going around this country where a father said a citizen said him see the minister in some activity. And I must say allegedly so before them send them police come knock off my door and come take me from under my bed bottom and walk them can manage my piss pot. No, how do you have people who have so much? Look here, Anthony Weiner lift up his shirt and show him an underage girl and lose him being a congressman, you know.
Yes.
You have people in there where them buy cake for how much $1,000. Them got key party during the COVID when we were under restriction. And they are the example, the double standard we have set. No wonder why the young people, they are totally out of control because they don't believe the institution. They don't see them practicing the same thing with them saying no. And every young people in this country, Jeffrey, from both PMP and JLP side, we tell you, them know I use them. They know they are being used. My problem is, as you have said, and I will ask the question, are Jamaicans ready to take back our country from these tyrants? Because that's what they are very tyrannic
and
in them leadership. And there are the theftery that continue to be so pervasive. Jeffrey, look how much scandal people name calling her, and none of them now left. Nobody now left.
Look,
them, you see, and
not only that. Look on how the corruption prosecution named the goodly gentleman as XQ and I say, oh, no go so. Huh? What sort of democracy are we talking about for 2030? Is this the Jamaica we want to live, work? Is this the Jamaica we want to leave for our children? My fellow Jamaicans in the diaspora at home, is this the Jamaica we want to leave for our children and grandchildren? Is this the Jamaica where corruption stink worse than Riverton Dump? Where crime is out of work and we have a commissioner of police who telling the people pay a bloody lie about crime gone down when then they're shooting on people like Blackbird in this country, left, right, and center? Is this the country we talk about a 2030 vision? Is this the country we want them to give us republic when they are the one They're talking about we need to get preparation from England. Yes, we need to do. But the government of Jamaica, the two political parties in this country, has created so much atrocities on the people of this country. They need to apologize to us. They have created a $1 trillion debt in this country, or $2 trillion debt in this country. Borrow it. When they borrow the money, when the money disappears, they're going to their pocket. Who now have a house at Beverly Hills, a house at France, have an apartment in Lower Manhattan. And every year they come out and tell us about their love we. Jamaicans wake up. The people of South Africa is waking up.
I don't believe that there's much people anymore in Parliament who understand servant leadership. When you look at Mark Golded, he has a greater amount of humility compared to our current Prime Minister. However, I don't know if that is just for a show, but that is a genuine disposition of a leader that probably can be reasoned with and will listen to the people. A Portia Simpson, if she should die tomorrow, God forbid. But as I said, if it's prolonged suffering and the Lord sees fit to take her home, then I will want her not to suffer any longer, because having suffered at the discrimination of your own people, having fought for a position where the ordinary citizen can be empowered to come from Woodall to Jamaica House and break the glass ceiling, where from the day me born to the now me hear say a 21 ruling family where run Jamaica. And me I wonder why over the years, and that is 47 years, we have never had a 22nd or a 23rd. Portia Simpson Miller came and broke that glass ceiling, and a PJ Patterson on the backdrop that you have a lady, Susan Collins, in Britain, who says of the current Prime Minister, he was of the right ilk and color. And he you know, to take a grand standing on the world, taking us back to a horrible time of slavery where anything were black not good. And women in this country was very mean to Portia. One hairstyle, she talked too flat. Nobody spoke to me more flatter than Bush Stewart. And yet still, because he was of the right color and he had the pocket, you know, you would sit and just want to be in company of Mr. Stewart. So in 2023, the question is, are Jamaicans serious about our democracy, or are we so politically connected through the umbilical cord to our the two warring tribe that we're going to continue to let them trample on the rights and the freedom of the Jamaican people? And what will Jamaica look like? The idea of Jamaica becoming a Haiti or a El Salvador is frightening. It's almost like in the 70s when droves of planes were leaving because they believed that Michael Manley was going to turn us into a communist country.
You know something, George? I said it on my program many times. And I remember the last time I said it on my program. Well, the first time, because I was the only person in Jamaica said it. I don't hear any other talk show ever said it. Jamaica is knocking behind Haiti's back door. And when I say it in the sense of the political tribalism, in the sense of politicians robbing this country, raping this country of the resources of this country, like what they did to Haiti. And the crime is out of whack in this country.
Yeah, man, the papa ducks and baby ducks. I think enough of the Caribbean history is not being told. But I tell you something, Jeffrey, where I may agree with you. I may have some friends where everybody is applying for license firearm. I just can't bring myself to make an application. I don't want to believe that is going to be the start. They laugh at me and tell me that I'm an internal optimist and I'm too simply in thought. But more and more people are acquiring guns. And it's it's a sign that even pastors are in the pulpit who are licensed firearm carriers. So, you know, it is a telling tale of where we're headed as a nation and what people feel that they have to do to secure themselves. In a TikTok video the other day, there is a Jamaican with a high power rifle
Yeah, I saw
saying
it.
that say if we not come down here, so at this una go feel. And then there was a big news headline that says man in video is being sorted by the police. But those weapons are coming in still through Haiti. And more people feel like they have to be
And
buying more
yet,
private.
and yet you have a prime minister. You know, if it was a Portia Simpson Miller, should have gotten in contact with the relevant people. Should have gone to Washington and speak with the FBI director himself. This prime minister went with the commissioner of police, Twiddly Dum Dum, and the minister of national security and injustice couldn't go with him. And the question must be asked of the minister of national security and injustice: why can't you travel? From Harris Strong become minister of national security, he has not left this country. More than go to St. Lucia.
But did
And
you
yet the prime minister went to Washington to speak to the FBI, according to him, because there's criminal elements in America. And he gave them name and list and whatever. He never said to them, say, look here, we need to figure out how the guns are coming in from Haiti or from Miami to Haiti to Jamaica.
I don't think they have to figure out. Look, you see, one of the things that we must educate the audience about is that we are given briefing from the Central Intelligence Agent, CIA, and FBI. They are aware of the gun and drug trade between Haiti and Jamaica. These briefings are given to government in government papers. And so when we talk about increasing the budget for the Coast Guards to be able to ensure that they are out there to intercept what is happening, the question begs, why is it that we're not getting more results in terms of the fine and seizures? And when you seize these guns, why don't you melt them down so that they're not stuck somewhere in a police precinct or in a holding cell where somebody else can go and capitalize on them by taking them out and putting them back out on the street? And unfortunately, in the gang world, one of the things that you have to understand, Jeffrey Tavares, is that, for instance, say this, there are, you know, the talk of the mother and the father of all Garrison being Tivoli and Jonga, Arnett Garden. So one of the things that you have to recognize is that while they say these things about these two places, it's also a place where you can go and you can basically rent a gun when something happens. Because in the Tivoli incursion, you would not realize that people from jungle were part of that because they believe in the structure of the Donship. And so PMP left to fight with Dudus because Dudus has the respect of many people, business people, respected people in the country. So a country that is divided or deprived of true leadership, people have to turn to the alternative solution of the local Don who can exact some sort of justice. So if you go to a Dudus for rape, them tie in a folk over and beat you, oil your body or put water upon it and beat you, because going to the police, people no longer have any confidence in the police. And a forward-thinking prime minister like Andrew Michael Holness should take the assurance of the Jamaican people from that style of justice and put it back into the hands of the people. And that's not happening. So if you were to score Andrew Holness against a Portia Simpson Miller, in terms of achievement, you'd have to give Portia far more higher score, because the one thing you know about Portia Simpson Miller, she speaks the ordinary language of the people. She wasn't born with the eloquence of the finishing school in Switzerland. So when she spoke, the ordinary person could understand. So much so it suffocated the 1% of uppity who believed that we should have stayed with Britain because they wanted to be called Viscount and ladies and so forth. So it's frightening, Jeffrey, for me as a young Jamaican to be saying, I have no confidence in government, whether you want to be PMP or JLP. Nobody has moved me in modern times that apart from
Luke George,
a Portia who spoke of the people and genuinely meant it.
But Luke George, you and I sit on this program when we had a Gabriela Morris and the young man from the former VP of the PNPYO who came on, and he literally said that they don't trust politicians anymore. Not in so many words, but he literally said it. Because the young people of our country have reached a point that they don't see who or what to vote for. And that is why I'm saying, if we the people, if we the favorite few, we the people, do not get up and say enough is enough, then our country, once again, as I said before, Jamaica is knocking behind Haiti's back door. Jamaica is knocking behind Sri Lanka's back door. Jamaica is knocking behind El Salvador back door. Jamaica is knocking behind Honduras back door. And if we don't wake up in this country, there won't be a Jamaica to leave for our children.
It's sad, but we have to agree that is probably where we're heading, with the increase in scamming and just the increase in the amount of robbery. I mean, you'd want to think that when you hear about Miss Panton taking $12 million from one account, and then subsequently there were 6 other people she defrauded that we don't know who those persons are. It became like a 9-day talk, SSL, and you still don't have a sense of what really is going to come of it. And it creates a panic for both Jamaicans and Jamaicans overseas who are the Jamaicans overseas, they're building their house, they're trying to open a business. And then you look at the attack on Beridium and the amount of ATM, the blatant robbery that is going on. And it's spiraling out of control. And yet still we get up and we dress up and we say to the rest of the world, we're okay, we're struggling democracy. But we have been struggling since independence. And 61 years after you pass those 40 years of immaturity and you reach 40, where they say life begins at 40, you would have thought that you understand that if you do not build the base from the ground up and put in solid foundation, then all of us are going to suffer because of the poor structure that you have built. And it goes back to, why is it in 2023 we're still turning out such high level of almost ill-prepared young people who are coming to you to ask you how you write a resume, who have challenges in using an ATM, and yet still these people go to America and they are given the fast track lesson how they have to do these things, and they do it knowing that if they don't, they will fall victim to a system that recognize only these things. The current crop of politicians should all get up and ask themselves, if they have served the Jamaican people satisfactorily, and if their conscience tell them they have, and they're satisfied, well, I tell you, the devil is a liar. Where I don't know, I'm just simply fed up of leadership, and it's not just with the politician, it's with church leaders who no longer believe that they must preach like John the Baptist against a corrupt system, but everybody wants to be the cabinet minister for minister of advise minister to the cabinet. When when politicians come in on the church and then preach truth to power, thief, and you don't talk about them like how the prophet spoke to David about you having a man having 100 sheep and his servant have one, and you kill the one. The amount of bloodshed that have been spilled by the politics of this country that has left so many families without a family member, whether they've done the boy enroll or the girl get involved for the danship, or you're caught up in a crossfire because two political rivalry meet up in a space, or as a result of some crime that is taking place. When you hear Jamaicans talk about their leadership, it's always that the leaders are some of the biggest thieves. And I'll tell you this, I remember one day we were working with some kids in some behavior modification program in Arnett, West Kingston, Eastern Street, and we went as close to Norman Gardens. And one day I was in the plaza, and I saw a group of kids and they were hiding. And so as I pulled up in the plaza, I realized that they were hiding. But I recognized that I knew them. So I went around that building and came back around, and I saw them with sponsorship paper. And I remember saying to one of them, but I don't know this football program that you're out here begging for. And there's a policy that you children shouldn't be out begging without an adult. Because of, we have to think about your safety. But I question what it was. And I made a call to a person at the community and said, tell me about this program. And them said, there's no program that exists like that. And then one of the younger guys, the age group of the children were 6 to the oldest being 14. And I remember a 10-year-old said to me, well, Mr. Cook, when the people them in our politics and church people and business people have money, you gotta talk to them and tell them say wrong. Jesus. So why if we are doing the same thing, you feel like say we not have a need. And then I remember one of them said, me help my mother for open up a stall with my money and I me buy a tablet for my brother and sister them. Now, if this is where you are basically helping to shape the decision of a young 10-year-old in Arnett God, you don't deserve to hold a seat in Parliament. It means you have failed. Because, I'd pity them this way I talk about the future.
And that is why I keep on saying that if Jamaica has a new political party, and if the president of the new political party can tell the people of Jamaica the name of his candidates for the next general election, they said that the new party has been in existence since 2013. And until now, the president of the new party, which is the UIC, cannot tell the people of Jamaica who are his candidates. So why on earth should we switch over to him? Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's just like the PNP and the JLP.
I don't know. We don't pay much attention to third party, and we have never had a discussion about coalition government to secure the democracy of Jamaica. Third parties have not done well. There has been about 27 third parties that has come around. The closest to a third party that has ever secured or looked like they were going to secure a seat in Parliament would have been the NDM that Bruce had left the Jamaica Labour Party with Lee, the departed Mr. Lee had started. Antoinette, UPP party looked like they could have secured a seat. The fact of the matter though, as I said, the people of Jamaica is in a Stockholm syndrome. And now on top of it, we see the behavior for SSR Fura, our prime minister who will decimate you, and he will make you suffer if you speak against him. And his cabinet has that sort of, their mantra is almost like, you don't matter, because we know that Jamaicans like to talk, but they're not going to do anything. So if we don't take to the streets in Rome about blocking the Republic status, Mayor Motley did it in Barbados, and there are questions about Mayor Motley doing that and what it means for her party and how the opposition feel. If you want to find out if Republic status were, we should invite people who have that system of governance and let them tell us. If you look at what is happening in Russia and parts of Africa, where almost a republic status becomes a communist status, people remain in power for years. Baby ducks and father ducks, the bishops in the Caribbean, they remain for years and then bleed the people. By the time that when them done with it, we don't have nothing for cover our front nor we're behind. Ask other people who are participating. Ask other people who are now in that republic status. Government over the world is not working. It has become an elite club, almost like it is handpicked. And so if I want to become the next, as you would say, Attorney General for Jamaica, no lodge has yet to approach to ask me if I would take up membership, where I'm guaranteed a place in the leadership of the Jamaica hierarchy. And unfortunately, while we talk about the physical elements of it, there is a spiritual element of it that we have never talked about, because then people will say, oh, Jeffrey and George start to talk about Obia. But there is truth in what Bogle Neville had said. That
you mean the great grandson of Paul Bogle,
Bogle.
Marcel Clark?
Marcel Clark, when he said, look, Jamaica had for its first governor a pirate. So what you do is that when you have a set of bad behaving people, you give them a role and a responsibility. But it's not that you know that you're not going to take some of the scarce benefits and spoil, but at least you will benefit from some. And so that has carried through into the Parliament of 2023, where the people will stay in the Parliament, them have chance and them still there. Because them not give them soup up.
And not only that, the question must be asked, because there's a parliamentarian who has been absent from Parliament because he has a knee problem. He went to do surgery on his knee. And I haven't seen that man in Parliament for how many months? And he's still getting paid from the people.
And this is some of the things that the account general must have power. And this is what would happen if it was in the office of if you still have the office of the political ombudsman, when you raise a concern about if a person is not able to function and how long they are going to be allowed to function in that capacity without being taking up one of the responsibility of being present when Parliament are called, or if they sit on a particular committee and they're absent, is creating a difficulty when things are to come to a vote. Again, if it was in the best interest of the people moving the progressive agenda, for Jeffrey, you and I know that once we're not functioning fully in a job, then we are asked to leave very privately. Right. But here in Jamaica, once you have gained political status, look on Desmond Mackenzie, for instance, a man who came from Tivoli Garden, who, if you look at the qualification of the current parliamentarian, you'd realize that on both sides, a lot of them did not have up to university education. Very few would have had that. And
one of the countries where the country is.
I would no, and I don't care if you had university, because the university here seems to teach you how to become more of a parasite than a person of conviction, that you must build your country. But you know, when you say, all right, for instance, you choose a Christopherson who is not a medical doctor but has a doctorate, in a particular discipline as Minister of Health. And he thinks he's doing such a fantastic job of reforming the health sector. So the Prince and Princess of Wales is coming to Jamaica, and you got paint up KPH. And you know the cockroach kill the people them on the ward. You know that the equipment broke down. I was at KPH last week, and I can give you the name and the number of a woman who said she has been waiting on surgery on her eyes for the last 3 years. And she came into the medical records office in tears. I took her name and her number, and she said, look, they tell me to buy this. And then them come back and say, no, and them tell me to buy this, and these things cost money. And I struggled, I raised the money, and I still don't know where I am. They're looking for a file. I went in there for a medical record of a relative of mine, and they're looking for the file. And the lady came out in utter frustration to say that, look, the file cannot be found. And this is after 5 months of making the application to get the medical record. So is this the country that you said that you are proud of? You would be proud of as Prime Minister. The Netherlands government came here to help us to build up the children's hospital. My niece was there, Jeffrey. And I sat on the outside in the nights, having to fight the mosquito, and sometimes sitting under the mango tree, the mangoes would fall. So it was so discomforting. You have to walk up and down just to be there to support your child. And I looked across from the bed and watched one of the ward attendants stuffing food into what I realized was a child with mental difficulties mouth, and telling the child, oh, you're careful. And when I went to the nurse, she said, that's what she plays with him all the time. That's how them play all the time. Then the child accidentally must have licked over the tea, and she was ready to assault him. And I was shouting at the top of my voice in the children's hospital, you can't lick the child, you can't do that. And those people are still working there. You understand? There are elderly people in community who are living in inhumane condition, feces on them, living houses that you can't even go in them, unbearable, more like kill them in there. And this Prime Minister and his administration boast that Jamaicans will be better off when they leave office, and that they are here for 18 years like the PMP.
No, what they're saying, that they will be better off when they milk this country to nothing. They'll be better off. Luke George, I tell you something, we need to continue this tomorrow. Because if it is now 10:34.
Is there anybody still listening to us?
Oh yes, we have about 235 people listening to us and watching us.
Okay, but Jeffrey, it's more than that now, The time for talking and for done, May I tell you, say, we have to start there has to be a structure. Jeffrey, if nothing I said tonight that matters, there have to be a structure that we have a PR campaign and advocate group that must both locally, and we must write articles asking the question, why is a republic status being pushed on us at this time when the country have these crises? Remember, Jamaica is now said to be on the cross of a major national disaster that you have sort of put the police, the ODPM on alert for something to happen. We do not know if it's going to be an earthquake the size of Pakistan and those places. And yet still, instead of focusing on how you're going to secure and save more lives, when you talk about losing of electricity, hospital might not work, we might not have proper stand-up generator. We didn't have enough nebulizers and the machinery.
And the question must be asked: are they getting those things and put it somewhere? We know,
Exactly.
we,
Do we know how you're going to mandatory sites that you're going to declare as safe zone for people to converge, and what will happen? So in the in light of such discussion, and the geography department at UA say, yes man, we are read it on the Richter scale, say, something a go on and we're on a fault line, something may happen. You're not pushing the whole idea of climate change, that when you look at the winters that America is offering. So I think you have to have a structure. See, Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton are not my favorite American freedom fighters. But if you could get back somebody like Anthony Young and have even the Jesse Jackson rainbow, where we have people that are trained in particular discipline who can speak truth to life. So if you come to about justice, you have sharp Jamaicans who are very learned in the field of law. You have the very sharp Jamaican that are business savvy outside there. You have people like the chief for Miami-Dade, who is a Jamaican, who
yes.
You have the think tank that you could be learning from. Well, people have to be prepared to fund a campaign, a real campaign against the government of Jamaica, calling them out on all their atrocity. Both PMP. If you love the PMP and you want to stay with, let her become the truth. Let her speak truth to life. If you love the JLP and you want to save her, let her speak truth to life. It cannot be about doing the business of the day and leaving the issue of the people unattended to. There are too much unmet needs in Jamaica while we're having such a high level of crime. There was a book that was written by Peter Phillips and my good friend Judith Wedderburn, on crime. And I could make those pages available to you. It speaks about the correlation of the alarming poverty that we have not been able to break the back. We now feel it's in Jamaica, because if you go outside of Jamaica and look at some other country, I went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and them live in a board house. We like build up mansions in Jamaica. But there is a certain pride about the St. Vincent and the Grenadines people, that the government care about their needs, and the government are present. The government is present, because I went to one of their local Callaloo Pot Festival, and you would know the difference between the Minister of Finance or the Prime Minister when you see how they were out there mingling with the people freely, because they didn't have fear of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So people are suffering.
I like when you touch on that, because I'm not going to boast or anything, but my good friend, Dr. Rolf Gonzalez, who is the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he's a very down-to-earth Prime Minister. He's a Prime Minister of the people, for the people, and by the people, who will drive, go down to Kingston, or whatever they call it in St. Vincent, and sit down and chat with the people.
And to Portia Simpson credit,
yes,
it didn't matter if you were a Labourite or JLP.
There you go.
There's a staunch JLP supporter who made her transition. God rest her soul. Miss Perez from Denham Town was a very good friend of mine. She and I served on the Downtown Kingston Area Development Committee. And I remember she expressing to me one day that she had some legal challenge as a JP, because she was in a particular person's office and they had asked her to sign a document for a friend of theirs, and she did. And the identity of the gentleman became questionable, and she was charged, and she was going to court, and she said she couldn't afford her legal fees. And it was Angela Brown Burke who came to her aid and aided her in paying for that. And if you fast forward that to 2018, when I was chairman of Downtown Development Area Committee, there was a dance troupe program in West Kingston that the people approached me and asked me if I could get help for them to enter the festival, and I did. And my vice chairman, who was on the committee at the time, came to me one day and said, why did I feel that I needed to go into a strong JLP constituency to support a program when I'm known to come from a very strong PMP family and a PMP area? And that for me cemented in my mind how narrow a thinking we suffer from when we align ourselves with one of the two warring tribes. And I had to remind him that I didn't get the position of chairman on political appointment. I was nominated by people in the room who supported both political side of the fence, and that I believe in my whole heart that I serve people and not their politics, not their color, not their creed, not their class. I serve every man how I want to be treated. And I said to him, shame on you, because you have sat with me and we have had a fairly good relationship. And you have never heard me make a decision based on a political line. And for you to ask me why I went to support the people tells you that you're backward in your thinking, because we're to help people regardless of what political persuasion they come from. So young people have to get out of that mindset that we are attached to a party and because we come from a particular family or we come from a particular community that we have to have that belief. I believe it is narrow. You must look at the narrative. You must have an understanding of your history. Sad to say, nothing.
Luke, we're going to close off now, but I have to say this and have you give your final word. Because I'm a Tavares, people align me with the Labour Party. And they don't put me back on their program because I may end up saying something about the PNP. It's neither here nor there with me, because you see me, my gearbox smash up. I am neither P nor J. I am fighting for this rock.
Well, I don't know. I'm neither P nor J. I strongly agree with some of what the Jamaica Labour Party had put out under the Bruce Golding administration in terms of a strategic plan of moving the country's agenda forward. I agree with some of what the leader of the opposition said as part of a structural reform of our executive branch, and under which our public sector falls, that needs to be reformed. I believe that the birth certificate office should be a 24 hours thing, because so many people in here have errors in their birth certificate, or the misspelling, or the people there now cannot read the handwriting that was written in 1819. So in closing, I'd like to say that Proverbs 29 verse 2 again says, when the righteous authority, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people bore cruelty and suffering. People have to ask themselves if they have been satisfied with the service of our leaders over the last 61 years. And if they're happy, then we shouldn't be seeing so much suffering. But if they believe that Jamaica can change and that they have a part to play, we all have to work for the welfare and the development of the society. Because again, if Jamaica go down, no matter what political side of the fence you are, all of us are going to suffer. And I believe Jamaica is a broken but promising country that has a bigger contribution to make on the stage of the world. I believe that we must look for the men and women who will put the country before gain, as their service to the development of their country, so that Jamaica may undergo and will increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and we will continue to play our part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race.
Yes, George. Mr. Man City from Portmore, who want to get in contact with me, you need to go to YouTube and type in Jeffrey Tavares on YouTube, and you'll see this big old face. You can message me. You can message me there. I cannot give you my email address on air. I don't do those things. So you can go to Facebook, look for my name, and if you see this big face without the glasses on, it's me. There's no fake page. I think there's no fake page there. George, your final word on the whole, of Miss Portia Simpson Miller.
Godspeed be with her if it is that he will allow her to recover. If we were to lose her, that she will make her transition to the other side. An excellent public servant who, in her capacity, served the people of Jamaica with honor and dignity, and demonstrated a love for them that was next to none, who had a bigger heart than her purse.
Mm-hmm.
And who I believe have done a great service to the poor and the dispossessed that she oftentimes referred to, helping us to recognize that it's not where you start in the race, but how you are determined. 47 years and more to be committed to a process, and to achieve the highest office of the land was not an easy fight, I believe, for her. But she fought and made her way there.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to believe, as a young Jamaican, made an invaluable contribution to advancing the progressive agenda for the people, not supported by our own party nor by the opposition, but continued to do what she could. Now that she's ill, I pray that we as a nation will recognize her, not just now, but we will speak of Portia Lucretia Simpson in all the discourse that we have as a woman who was not perfect, certainly had her shortcomings, but somebody who remained committed. Even now, I believe in illness, must be struggling to ensure the safety and the security of the poor are properly protected. May God, in his infinite wisdom, grant to her what is necessary at this point. And I pray for her family. I pray for her political family. I know that the mourning will be terrible if she was to die. And I believe that it will further put a lot of the poor in a serious state of depression, because they did see her as the last bastion of hope to bring about a change that was going to transform the landscape of the poor. And to that end, I know that they were hoping that she would have played a more bigger role after demitting office. But Jeffrey Tavares, may God raise up more Portia Simpson Miller leadership in the country, more servant leaders who again will put gain, that they will put self above gain, that they will work for the greater good of all and not just a few. And that's my final word.
And I hope the People's National Party will seriously look into the idea of a Senator Gabriela Morris campaigning around this country.
And you know, say Attorney General,
I don't want, no, me not want to harm to you. Like, I don't want to harm to my good friend, Senator Gabriela Morris, but I think what they need to do to get the young people on the board, a sinking ship, this country is sinking bit by bit, and to see if we can put some buoy out there to rise this nation from sinking in the deeper. the People's National Party, along with a Mark Golding and Angela Brown Burke and a Michael Phillips, and all of them don't come together and try and lift this nation out of the ditch that it's in, then may God have mercy upon this nation. And to my fellow Jamaicans out there, the time has come for us, as we as a people, to stand firm in this country. When something is wrong, speak about it. Do something about it. And that's what people are saying to us, George, that the talk, the time for us now is to action. And I think...
Yeah, you have to do it, Jeffrey. We have to have the advocacy group out there talking in every corner, both locally and overseas. We have to have a national network for transformation of the whole society, the global transformation network for Jamaica. That has to be the movement. We have to have people who have with the understanding of various aspects of what it will take to develop this country, having a seat at the table, and stop being 9 days wonder. We can't just be about when the issue happens. There is a lot of issues that we need, and then we need to channel the funding that the diaspora has been raising for and given to successful government, to that national global movement where it goes into community. I hear Mark Golding saying shame on Andrew Ford for not funding the peace management initiative. The peace management initiative leadership was in shambles because they were taking pilfering off the money. I don't know. Why is it that when everybody gets into the seat of power, we all want to be rich? We don't want to just do what we were sent there to do. And at the end of it, just know that we have made the space a little bit better than before. And God knows that once you are committed to task and purpose, He will supply your need, because you would have sought the kingdom before you sought a fulfillment of your pocket. I don't know if it's because when you're poor, nobody sees you as anybody, and nobody wants to be around you, really, because they just want to be around rich, successful people. It's almost like the prosperity gospel that is being preached in church. So coming off of your program with your 200 listenership, you have a global transformation development company that must now look at the issue of Jamaica. We must bring sound arguments to the development issues. People must can access website. We must can have workshop. We must can excite the Jamaican people again about the great possibility. Looking at a particular development project. I was just talking to a group at church the other day, and I said, shame on you. Yeah, every year you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on buses to take people from all over Jamaica who don't go there like politicians. We have to pay a bus and put $2,000 in the shirt them to get the people to come. Your membership follow you for the word of God and word. So then have one foreign preacher where I talk about Shem, baby, Shem. And this is what the word of God said. People gravitate to it. So if you had buses for your church that would have been used for general transportation during the months when the church now have the convention or campaign, and then those buses now becomes available to move these people. So literally they are paying for a service that comes from it. You would be building up the coffer of the church and probably could take on more of your social program if you did just transform the church into a social enterprise, social entrepreneurial enterprise. You have to stop relying on the collection of the people, because the people themselves are suffering. You're preaching paradise while they're in poverty. You have to have a partnership program in a church where them show them partner for own a liquor house or fix up the old one where them have and can pay $2,000 a month time for a family indemnity plan that give them $250,000 security that or you can buy health insurance through a company because you're a cooperative. So Jeffrey, there are ways that we can take our people out of poverty, you know. I believe that you need to abolish the constituency development fund, you know. You start me up again, you know, and start every constituency must have a corporate credit union as its financial model, where every able-bodied person can go in there and go pay for service, and the returns from the services that are being offered, 70% is for community development. So you have a fund that you can send a girl from there who have the ability to go do medicine or law, or a boy from there who have the ability to go, and you give them a small bursary, and the loan is at the lowest possible level of returns, but the return is to ensure that we keep the success of the education and people wanting to matriculate to higher level of education. We can't think outside of the box.
Yes.
The constituency would now attract additional funds because you'd have asked everybody to put up $25,000, and you'd have built better house for people in there. You'd have secured the land tenure through the land program so that nobody no come thief the land and do what they want, because with the development of downtown Kingston, a lot of the people down there don't even know. So the development act that they be shipped somewhere else. You're gonna take a guy who has known Beeston Street all his life and go put him out at St. Thomas and expect that he's going to survive. It's a new culture for him. You know, it's a very new culture for him. So you have to know how you transition people from one place to the other place, because you're also transitioning attitude and behavior. All of a sudden now, St. Thomas is not going to be known as the capital for Obia. It might become the next Tivoli Garden and Arnett Garden. You have to be careful about how you look at these social development and how they're going to impact on people. But we're at 10:58.
Yes, we need to go now. And I want to say thank you very much. And to this person, Juliet Chambers, if the president of the UIC cannot tell the people of Jamaica who his candidate is, how can we vote for them? Huh? If the president of the UIC cannot tell the people of Jamaica who are his candidates, who are we voting for? And on that note, I just want to say thanks to Luke George, thanks to Wayne Vassiani for coming on. Thank you all very much for coming on to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. And I pray and hope that Lady Simpson Miller get well, that she can spend some more time with us. Until you hear my voice again, may God bless you and may God bless Jamaica land we love. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. We may be back here tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. I'm not sure. It all depends on His Excellency Sir Luke George. We may be back here at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening to speak some more about the reform of our Jamaican Constitution and we're going Republic. We may give a little dice on that. I'm not sure as yet. But may God bless this beautiful island of ours. And remember, we came here by labor pain, not by aeroplane, not by party pain. This rock belongs to us. Let us fight for this rock. Let's fight for the democracy of this rock. Have a good night, everyone. Until you hear my voice again. Good night. Luke.
All right. I want to leave 3 hours.